Hey y'all, welcome to Freedom Makers. I'm Amanda and today I'm going to show you how to can dry beans. It's a really easy way to save money for you and your family. We use canned beans in a lot of recipes. I put them in casseroles and soups and just as sides by themselves with some herbs and things like that. So we use beans a lot here, and so buying them dry and then canning them myself saves us a ton of money. Okay, so I have beans here and here. They soaked overnight. I'm going to drain these, rinse these, put them in jars, and I'll show you how I can my beans. Okay friends, I have my dry beans that have been soaking in my jars. You'll notice a couple things here. First, they were vacuum sealed in this half-gallon jar, and I did that earlier this year. You can go back and watch that video if you wish. I soaked these overnight, but it was only about 8 hours. It was not the 12 to 18 that is typically recommended. All that means is that your beans are going to expand more in the jar, so I leave a little extra space. You'll notice on all of these that I have left below where your shoulders begin on your jar, below that, because I know these are going to expand and you don't want them to expand so much that your jar doesn't seal, that it pops open. That is where I'm comfortable leaving it. I have a teaspoon of salt in my quarts, and then I ended up with 6 quarts. I broke one of those down into pints because it's just going to be a different variation in size, so that if I need a smaller amount for a recipe, I will have those as well, and they fit in the canner still. So that's why I did that. Another thing worth mentioning is that my jars are not hot. There is a reason for that. I am going to pour boiling water into these in just a moment, and then I will put them in my canner, which is not heated yet. So on my stove I have one burner that's bigger than the rest, like most stoves. My water is heating in here, and when it is boiling I will pour those in the jars, and then I will move my canner over to that spot. In my canner so far it's just the water, the amount that I'm supposed to have, and then a little splash of vinegar. That's going to keep any hard water stains from developing on the outside of my jars, because this is tap water. What is in this pot and what I will use in my jars is water from my Berkey. It's really important when you are canning to use non-chlorinated, non-fluorinated water. Your products will not last nearly as long. The flavor changes in the jars if you're using just tap water, especially like from a city. Be mindful of that. If you need to use distilled water until you can afford a Berkey or some other filter that is similar, do so. But it is crucial to long-term taste of your canning goods and the health of your family. I'm about to put my lids to simmer, but I thought I'd bring something up really quick in case you're a new canner. I know I have several new people on the channel that have mentioned wanting to start canning. So something you may want to be aware of is gold lids versus silver lids. I had been given several boxes of the gold lids, and I wanted to use those up first. So I've been using those, but they are not my preference. They are more flimsy. They don't have the same success rate, and I have a lot of failed seals that end up going into my refrigerator when I use these. If you are just getting into canning and you want to buy a higher quality, you want these to last a little longer, I'd go with the silver lids, Ball or Kerr. They're much more sturdy. I can't really even flex this. They're just more sturdy, and I don't have the fail rate, and not as many of my jars that I wanted to put in my pantry are going into my fridge for immediate use. So something to keep in mind if you are new to canning. There is a difference, and it really matters, especially if you're talking about stocking up your pantry. You're going to end up eating more than you intended to quicker. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I have my lids simmering in this pot back here. My canner is here, and it's heating up. So I wanted to show you my setup here. I moved my pot of hot water, or my boiling water, here. I used a glass measuring cup and filled these up. There is water to the rim here on all of them. You're going to debubble these and put the lids on. You can rub vinegar on here. I think it's a little redundant because you are pressure canning, and that's going to kill anything. And then also I wanted to reiterate that the reason I didn't use hot jars is because they're heating up now. My canner is just now heating up. It's not boiling already. If you have a great variance in temperature between your jar and your canner, they can break. That is the only reason that people heat up their jars first, because they're putting it in a hot canner. So doing it this way, they were room temp. I brought them, they're hotter now because of the hot water inside, and then they're going to heat up the rest of the way in the canner because I don't have a already boiling canner. So just take that into account. It saves me a step to have them around the same temperature, and then I'm not using an extra step, an extra pot to heat these up, and then having to make sure they stay hot until I put them in the canner. I just think that that's ridiculous if you can avoid it. Okay, since this video is for new canners, I wanted to show you what it looks like when they first go in. This is not boiling yet. Okay, I have my canner lid on. I'm going to close it. Okay, so I wanted to point out a few things. My lock mechanism is in the front, pointing toward the front, and then my release or pressure, emergency release valve, I forgot what it's called exactly, but anyway, this will pop out if you are at dangerous levels. This will release in the back and not in the front. So if you have little people, you shouldn't have them in here while you are doing this anyway. But just if somebody is walking by and this happens, it won't blow them in the face or, you know, be right up there in the front. So that's why I keep mine turned around. The lock is here in the front. It does sputter a bit. You don't want your kids in here right next to you when you're doing this, because that could sputter and they could get hurt. So when your lock pops up, you're going to time it for 10 minutes. And then after that 10 minutes of the steam releasing from here, you will put your weight on. This is going to go on. I use the tongs to put this on so that I don't burn myself accidentally. I'm not that brave. Once that's on there, you're going to wait until this goes up to the weight that you need for your altitude. So mine needs to be around 11. It usually is around 12 to 13. That's fine if it's a little over. It's not a big deal. And I will time it from the time it gets to that. So once it's at 11 is when I start my timer for 90 minutes. Quarts of beans always go for 90 minutes or an hour and a half. So I'll turn my timer on once it reaches 11. Something else that I'd point out to new canners is to use an old towel. These stains are from when I was canning blueberries earlier in the season. This towel has been used for canning for, gosh, as long as I've been canning, but we've had this towel since I was a kid. So it's like 20 plus years old. It was definitely time to retire it. But I can still use it, and instead of throwing it away, I can use it for canning, and it doesn't matter if it gets stained up. It's not a big deal. So you may want to downgrade one of your towels to use for canning purposes. It really helps with cleanup to have a towel like this. Spills are caught and don't stain my countertop. I don't really have to worry about it. If anything is sticky, I can just throw this in the washing machine, so that's a great way to save yourself some time as well. So while I've got that going, Sunshine and I are going to finish out our day. If you want to see more about our day, you can go to yesterday's video. I decided to break this up into a tutorial on how to can dry beans and a vlog video from yesterday. So feel free to go back and check that out. I'll bring you guys back when the beans are done. Alright y'all, I just got my jars out of the canner. You can see they're still bubbling. I'm going to cover these with a towel. Well, y'all, I hope that today's video helped you out. I hope that it inspires you to start canning your own dry beans. If this is not something you've done before, hopefully this video was informational enough that you can get started easily. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!